Okay, this is the first video on this channel. As you can see by the intro, we will be reading House of Glass by your boy Pedro. And yeah, please support, like the video if you enjoyed it. And let's get right into it. Naruto yawned as he walked into the classroom. He had overslept due to an alarm clock malfunction, and lateness was the absolute last thing he needed. He had been given the title of Guinea through highly unusual and controversial means, in being the late spit in the face of the man who had made the promotion a reality. How is it that I'm still exhausted even though I overslept? Naruto wondered to himself as he sat down in one of the few open seats available in the room. After several minutes of waiting, Iruka, who was the academy instructor, cleared his throat and gave the children a hard stare in order to gain their attention and silence them. Now that everybody is here, we can get started with team assignments. Before we do that, you should all know what exactly is going to change about your lives now that you're a ninja of the Hidden Leaf Village, he began. A murmur rippled through the new batch of Genin as they pondered the meaning behind their now former teacher's words. First of all, you will be expected to take complete and total responsibility for anything and everything you do from here on out. Despite your ages, you're effectively working-class citizens now, meaning that you will bear the expectations of an adult. You will still be given more leeway than, say, a chunin, but punishments will not be withheld simply because you're children. Secondly, you will now be more or less in charge of your own income. Many of you have parents that can and will assist you with such things, but they still have no real control over what you do with the money you earn. The class made a sound of approval at the explanation of their newfound economic freedom. Iruka sighed inwardly as he watched them react. Lastly, at some point during your career as a ninja, you will almost certainly more than once, you will be forced to murder. You will have blood on your hands, whether you want to or not. Depressing as it is, that's the long and short of it. Now on to cell assignments, he concluded. The jovial mood that permeated the classroom vanished at the final section of Iruka's speech, and was replaced with a melancholic silence. One by one, Iruka listed the teams. After 6 uninteresting cells, Team 7 was announced. Team 7 will consist of Naruto Uzumaki, Iruka said. The blonde glanced up from his desk and awaited for the identities of his 2 teammates. Shikamaru Nara, the instructor continued. Naruto felt his spirits heighten slightly. He had never known the lazy Nara well, but he had never been outwardly unpleasant as many of the Uzumaki's classmates had been. And Hinata Hyuga. Your joining instructor will be Kakashi Hatake, Iruka concluded. Naruto glanced up to the far left corner of the room where the Hyuga heiress was sitting. Her posture was perfect. Her clothes were ironed and clean. Her eyes were sharp and attentive. And while her appearance was certainly an acquired taste, she was undeniably attractive. A true symbol of the high standard set by her family, the illustrious Hyuga clan. I just had to end up with the other rich kid, didn't I? Naruto grumbled within his mind. Iruka went on to announce the remaining cells, with the notable ones being Team 10 and 8, consisting of Choji, Ino, Kiba, and Sasuke, Shino, and Sakura respectively. At least I don't have to deal with Sasuke. I did miss out on Sakura-chan though, the Uzumaki thought with mixed feelings. After the assignments were complete, the classroom began to empty, leaving nobody but Team 7, who had been ordered to remain in the room by Iruka in order to await the arrival of Kakashi. So, what do you think of this whole ninja thing? Naruto asked Shikamaru, who was standing out the window as he always did. The young Nara glanced at the blonde out of the corner of his eyes and sighed. It sounds like a hell of a lot of work. Kind of a drag if you ask me, he replied in standard fashion. The Uzumaki chuckled and looked at Hinata, who was reading a book. What about you? He asked. The heiress closed her book and stared down at Naruto, a look of subtle disdain in her pale, assessing eyes. I consider ninjahood to be a great honor, an opportunity to uphold my clan's reputation, if you will. Although the circumstances and environment in which I will be forced to accomplish that goal aren't exactly ideal, she said, never blinking as she stared at the blonde. Shikamaru made a noise of protest, easily deciphering the meaning of the statement. Naruto furrowed his eyebrows and frowned. "What's that supposed to mean?" he asked. Shikamaru opened his mouth to explain, but stopped when someone walked into the classroom. Team 7 looked to the door of the room where a man with silver hair and a covered eye stood. "So I guess you three will be my team. Anara, a Hyuga, and whoever the hell the blondie is." "Works for me. Come to the roof. We're gonna run through some instructions," he said, vanishing in a puff of smoke once he had finished the final sentence. The Genin all stood up from their seats and walked out of the classroom. Naruto studied his teammates as he walked alongside them. Shikamaru slouched as he walked and yawned almost periodically. He was the polar opposite of Hinata, who stood up straight and took measured, efficient steps. Her movements were clearly rehearsed and well-groomed. Naruto had never spoken a word to Hinata, the brief exchange of words in the classroom having been their first conversation, but he knew one thing for sure despite their limited interactions. He disliked her strongly. Kakashi flipped through the pages of his orange-colored book as he waited for the arrival of his Genin. It had been roughly 3 minutes, and they had not made it to the roof. "I really need to show them how to use the Shinshuin sometime," he thought to himself. Then, as his silent prayers were being answered, the group of Genin arrived on the roof, all of them looking quite bored and tired. Kakashi shut his book and set it aside. "Now that you're all here, let's get down to what I called you all up here for. Each of us is going to say our name, the things we like, the things we dislike, your goals, that kind of thing," he explained. The group gave a collective nod. The Jonin looked to Shikamaru. "Start us off, Nara," he said. The lazy Genin sighed and rubbed his eyes as he gathered his thoughts. "My name is Shikamaru Nara. I like shogi, clouds, naps, and not much else. I dislike tests, exercises, and waking up early. My goal is to have an average wife, maybe a 7 out of 10 or so, 2 kids, a passable but not overly impressive income, and I want to die at the age of 80, he explained tiredly. Kakashi scratched the back of his head and chuckled. "Don't be too ambitious, kid. You might disappoint yourself," he said humorously. He then pointed to Naruto. "You next, Blondie," he said. The Uzumaki nodded and sat up a bit straighter as he prepared his improvised speech. "My name is Naruto Uzumaki. I like ramen, weekends, and training. I dislike waiting for my food, stuck-up pricks, and just bullies in general. My goal is to be the Hokage. That way, you people will have to respect me, whether you want to or not," he explained. Kakashi nodded and smiled behind his mask as he reminisced about an old friend. He then motioned to Hinata, who was patiently waiting her time to speak. "Your turn, Hyuga," he said. The heiress stretched and eyed every person on the roof, seemingly to make sure that they were all listening. "My name is Hinata Hyuga, and I like things such as gardening, quiet nights, and dango. On occasion, I dislike spicy food, simpletons, and inefficient taijutsu. My goal is to lead the clan as I see fit," she said, glancing at Naruto at the word simpleton. "What about you?" Naruto asked the Jonin. Kakashi sighed and slapped Shikamaru on the back of the head to wake him up from the nap he decided to take. "My name is Kakashi Hatake. I like some things and dislike others. As for my goals, I guess I never really thought about it. I'm more of a now kind of guy," he said. The Uzumaki frowned and pointed an accusing finger at the silver-haired ninja. "That's not fair. You didn't tell us anything about you other than your name," he said. Kakashi shrugged and stood up. "Unlike you, I have no obligation to tell you anything. I'm the authority. You're all free for the rest of the day, by the way. Be at the training grounds at 7 sharp tomorrow. The second phase of the Genin exam will take place there. Don't eat tomorrow morning either. You'll just end up puking," he said before vanishing as he had in the classroom. I'm going home. See you guys tomorrow, Shikamaru said immediately after the Jonin disappeared. He then made his way down from the roof. He then he made his way down from the roof and down to the streets, beginning his trek home. Naruto glanced at Hinata, who was wearing a look of irritation. What's got you so bothered? He asked. The heiress glanced at him and looked in the direction Shikamaru had walked. Both our sensei and our team are lazy fools. Then there's you, an outcast and easily the worst student in our academy's history, only rivaled by Choji Akamichi. To say that I'm displeased with myself would be an understatement, she said. The blonde prickled at her words. Cry me a river, princess. I get that you're from the most famous clan in the village, but that doesn't make you any better than we are, he said defiantly. Hinata scoffed and turned to leave the roof. Oh, I think that you'll find the chasm exists between you and I. Social classes exist for a reason, Uzumaki-san, and you and I are of different levels. Naruto growled, and she made her way down the stairs into the building once more. You aren't better than me. I'll show you. Kakashi knocked on the door of Hiruzen's office and waited. After several moments of silence, a call of confirmation could be heard from within the room, prompting the Jonin to enter. Once inside, he closed the door inside, earning an eyebrow raise from the elderly Kage. You look exhausted. I know that you dislike getting for the most part, but they don't usually tire you out, the Hokage said somewhat humorously. Kakashi sighed and sat himself down on the chair in front of the old man's desk. What on earth was your thought process when putting the cells together? My team has no chemistry, he asked. Hiruzen thought back to the many nights he spent meticulously planning the arrangements of the Genin teams. They do have chemistry. It will certainly take some time for it to become tangible, but it does exist, he replied. The silver-haired ninja snorted. Naruto is, for a lack of a better word, a dunce. Shikamaru is about as driven as a middle-aged alcoholic, and Hinata is about as Hyuga as you can get. That is not what I call a compatible group of personalities. I don't care what you say, Hokage-sama, he countered tiredly. The old man gave Kakashi a hard stare. This team isn't entirely dissimilar from Team Minato, if you think about it. Rin was unlike Shikamaru, very driven, but you aren't all too different from Hinata in your younger days, and the similarities between Obito and Naruto are numerous and uncanny. The only real difference between your cell and the one that you're taking on is Minato's role. The Jonin opened his mouth to respond, but shut it when he found that he had nothing more to say. He stood up from his chair and turned to exit the room. Either way, I doubt they'll pass the test. The biggest difference between my team and this one is that I'm a harsher teacher than Minato-sensei ever was. And that's the end of the first chapter of House of Glass. Again, if you enjoyed, please like the video, comment, tell me how you liked it, tell me where I can improve, and thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later.